Hello, everybody. So the tech tool I will be talking to you guys about today is Adobe Creative Cloud. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see what that looks like. So this is what the program kind of looks like when you open it. And Adobe Creative Cloud is an art, engineering, and kind of design tool that has just a group of different programs that all do different things with different tools connected to each individual thing. There's a bunch more down here as well. Within each of these different programs, they all allow students to use texts that may be taught in the class by a teacher, professor, and enable them to basically use those texts and create kind of a final product from those texts. So one example of that could be using this text right here. There's the elements and principles of design, and each different element or principle is explained here. So students may be given this and taught about each individual kind of design or principle or element, and then be tasked with creating some sort of design using one of these. So one example could be for that line for an element. I did this project in high school, but I was able to create an image using one singular line that doesn't overlap at all. And I used the program Adobe Illustrator to do so. And so using kind of that text was able to then implement that into the program and create a final product using that. Is just one specific example of that. Obviously, there's Adobe, all these different Adobe options that kind of allow students to create literacy and use literacy in texts and kind of advance their knowledge. One more I just thought was funny to show you using Adobe Bridge, which is just an overall like kind of graphic organizer of all the Adobe ones. Basically allows you to look at all the different images. But I was tasked with basically creating a picture puzzle. So I had an original photo, which was this one. You can see here on the right side. That was the original photo. It's pretty busy. And I edited 10 different things where I either changed the color or added in like the Eiffel Tower, changed the color of this guy's shorts, like was able to use Photoshop, which is another one of those programs here, to then implement that and using kind of the different concepts that I was taught where you can edit different things in Photoshop to create a final product or end goal, I guess. Um, Basically, using this tool, it allows for students to implement those text and literacy ideas, like I said, into different programs and kind of creating a final product. Some strengths the program has is it allows for students to kind of advance those knowledge on the text and create more thought throughout the program and throughout the lesson. Basically, if, for example, let's say you just took a random photo and it was bad quality, without programs like Photoshop or Lightroom, they'd have no way of fixing those photos. And with that, now you're able to do so and implement different ideas and texts and concepts that you might have been taught to basically create a better photo. So that's kind of something that gets taught and allows for students to be creative and advance that. One weakness with these is you do have to pay for them. So depending on the school district you're in, you may not be able to have access to these. I haven't had issues with schools not being able to. ISU has these for free for students, and the high schools I was around and went to also had access to these. So depending on your school, you may not have access to them. So that's kind of the one downside and drawback to any of these programs. But all of them allow students to kind of be creative and use those texts and literacies to become more advanced, I guess, in certain areas, depending on what your standard you're trying to reach as well. So hopefully that is a good explanation of these text tool, and you can maybe use them, maybe not, but yeah, thank you. And that's all I've got.